Hello friends, this is Dr. Irfan Kamaruddin Andani. Let's continue the topic which we started in our last video, which was about Andrew's 6 keys to normal occlusion. Today we are going to discuss second, fourth and fifth keys to normal occlusion. You must be thinking that why I am skipping third key, isn't that very important? Well, the reason is that third and sixth keys need more elaboration, while there is nothing much to tell you about fourth and fifth keys, so I can accommodate those keys in today's video. So let's begin. Second key tells you about mesiodistal angulation of the whole dentition in a patient with ideal occlusion. The way Andrews tell you is that gingival part of the long axis of the crown is distal to the incisal part of the axis, and the extent of angulation varies according to the tooth type. What is he trying to say? What is gingival and what is incisal parts of the long axis of the crown? Let me try to draw the outline of anterior teeth to explain. Now try to make long axis of each crown. Remember, I am talking about the crowns only, not the roots. This is the gingival part of the long axis of the crown, and this is incisal part of the long axis of the crown. Now you may notice that these long axes are not straight lines, but they are mesially inclined. You can see that the incisal part of this long axis is mesial and the gingival part is distal. How did Andrews measure them? He drew a occlusal plane with perpendicular lines and then measure the values of these angulations with the perpendicular lines. And he noticed that all the teeth are mesially angulated and the extent of angulation varies. Like you can appreciate that lateral incisor is more mesially angulated as compared to central, and canine exceeds even more. Now here let me share one more thing, that mesial angulation is also known as positive angulation, which is a normal thing, and if any of the tooth is distally angulated, we can call that it has negative mesiodistal angulation or negative tip, because mesiodistal angulation is also known as crown tip values. It is not very important right now to understand what is tip and torque, but whenever you see any bracket system and read the torque and tip values and you get confused that what are those. Therefore, I am sharing that thing. Crown tip values means mesiodistal angulation. Now read the statement again, which was given by Andrews. Gingival part of the long axis of the crown is distal to the incisal part of the long axis of the crown, and this extent of angulation varies according to each tooth type. Now let's see what does fourth key tells you. It's very simple. There should be no rotation of any tooth in an ideal occlusion. We are talking about rotation of the tooth around its long axis. Here it is also important to understand that what is the effect of these rotation on aesthetics and function of the occlusion of any patient. Let's assume that this premolar in the upper arch is rotated. Did you notice one thing, that when premolars or molars are rotated, they occupy more space? From where the tooth will get that space? Either it will cause crowding or flaring of the anterior teeth by pushing them forward, or it can also push the molar back. In both the ways, it will disturb the occlusion and also aesthetics of the patient. On the other hand, when anterior tooth is rotated, it occupies lesser space. Why? Because the mesiodistal width of anterior teeth is more as compared to the buccolingual dimension. Therefore, when anterior tooth is rotated, it gives you space. However, the buccolingual dimension of the posterior teeth is comparatively more than the mesiodistal dimension. Therefore, when premolars are rotated or molars are rotated, they occupy more space. And when you derotate these teeth, there won't be any space discrepancy left. But sometimes the spaces in the arch is not because of the malalignment, it's because of the shorter clinical crowns. And this is our fifth key. There should be no spaces between the teeth. and they should have tight contact points, tight junctions, so that there is no food impaction or even no disturbance in the aesthetics. This mesiodistal width discrepancy is very common with the upper lateral incisors. You may find sometimes peg-shaped lateral incisors, and sometimes the shape is normal but they are mesiodistally shorter. That results in spaces between the teeth, which is aesthetically not pleasing. And not only that, teeth have tendency to move wherever they get spaces. So you may find shifting of the midlines and disturbed occlusion as well. Like in this patient with missing lateral incisors, you may notice that her midlines were shifted. Even the molar relationship and cuspid relationship was also disturbed. So this is all about today's class. We will discuss third key in our next lesson. Till then, have a good day.